Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to a brand new Squared Circle Society Live. I'm Flesh Wound Dan, joined as always by producer Tad.
Good evening. Glad you're able to show up for this, Dan. We're too afraid for the last interview.
He was in protest. You know how he feels.
And Pug's Dread.
Namaste. What's up, ninjas?
What's up? Todd had to bleep a lot of ninjas today, for sure.
That's not what I was bleeping.
Working hard. What do we got? We got Harley Racist coming soon, which now I really want to see that character.
They got to watch the interview. Don't be giving that away.
Yeah. I won't give it away. You can see the uncut interview with the Soul Taker on patreon.com/fleshwoundfeatures. You can watch the YouTube version right now. So
big thank you to Soul Taker. That guy's really cool.
Yeah, he is. He is. Fuck Blue Cane.
Yeah. I figured he was going to go after someone else who has a better hat than his. The guy Dan stole his gimmick from.
I mean, I have the best hat of a living man. Oh, you were talking Zack Ryder. Yeah, well, no, I'm better than Zack Ryder.
Arrogant fuck. He should kick your ass, too.
Who's the dead one he was thinking of?
The what?
He's a Soul Taker. He's dead. So I was going to say, because I am alive, I have the best hat.
Well, Soul Taker doesn't wear a hat, and you'd know that if you watched our interview.
I don't know. I thought he might have worn
a
hat.
Or had you been on, actually. Could pitch you as Harley Racist, dude. Give you point, get your hat a little more pointy. Perfect.
Dan, you might want to move on off this subject before I got to censor Pugs again.
I'll work on my flying headbutts, but before we do that,
be sure to check out the Soul Taker interview. Right now.
Yes.
Uncut on Patreon, so Pugs can say his dirty words.
Pugs Uncensored on Patreon. What up, Ben Grimm in the chat?
Although I'll be honest, I don't think I should have had to censor a word of that.
Thank you.
It was like 6 times. I counted. I don't think you were.
But see, here's the thing: it's not you saying it, Dan. It's totally different.
YouTube doesn't understand that.
They do too, because I watch. Have you never heard of a rap video, Dan?
Yeah, but that's listed as a rap. I don't know.
It's listed. I've never seen.
Ben Grimm nailed it. That's what's under the hat. I've got like the full. I was a Bam Bam Bigelow fanboy. That's like a whole flame tattoo under here.
Those are SS's, not flames.
Those are flames. Okay. Pugs.
I thought you got you got the one model exactly after Becky, after Paul Blart.
Mm-hmm.
Same one.
Bam Bigelow fanboy. Yeah, I don't know if he ever told you, but Jason had a Bam Bam story I'll share tonight when we go over that episode. But yeah, no brony tattoos as of now. We'll see. I don't know what that is. So
you lying sack of shit. He knows exactly what that is. And if you check under, like behind, on the other side, opposite side of the camera, nothing but My Little Pony.
Oh yeah,
maybe. Yes, they're furries, right?
They can enter that category, but no, it's just My Little Pony people. You're people, Dan.
Oh, but those are same thing.
How we're playing with plastic? Okay, sorry.
I thought they dress up as horses and have sex with each other. Is that what a brony is?
That's they might do that too, but no, that's what a furry is.
Yeah, it's just a boy My Little Pony fan, but I'm sure they're not mutually exclusive. I'm pretty sure someone's dressed as a horse.
To be fair, though, a girl who likes ponies is probably going to do the pony gimmick too. So,
yeah. Genuine.
Bronies have sex with horses.
No, bronies are grown men who like My Little Pony. It's not that hard.
It's a fandom.
Creepier.
Well, don't judge, Dan.
I'm not judging. We're grown men talking about
we do very well in the brony community.
Are there any shout out to any bronies in the chat? I'm sorry about
I would like a brony horror movie. I think like just this one dude just pissed off that the last figure available, this little like cancer girl got, so he goes and murders the rest of the family. Let's get weird with it.
I can see that working, just like kind of bludgeoning them to death with the hooves sort of thing. Yeah, we always slice and dice, just smash people. I can see some good gore scenes coming out of that, but yeah. Well, anyways, we are here to talk about wrestling and not sexual fetishes. I promise.
Well, that's all Ben's fault for bringing up Rowan. Thanks, Ben.
He should know better. Ben Grimm, chat veteran. All right, so let's kick it off.
And a real one.
Yes, both. Yes, thank you for your service. Stone Gassman as well. There's a lot of vets in the community. Billy Bean, I believe, as well. All right, so Bam Bam Bigelow, Beast from the East, Dark Side of the Ring episode. Always a favorite of mine. Bam Bam Bigelow was just, I talk a lot about Vader in the past on the show and what an inspiration he was. And those matches with Sting, the one he had with Davey Boy Smith, those things hold up so well. Just what he was doing as a big man then was not common at all. And Bam Bam was right up there with him. So before we get into the episode, just general, like, Bam Bam Bigelow, were you a fan, and any memories from your childhood?
I actually totally forgot that he came up as a partner for Hogan. I always remember him as a heel. I don't remember him as a good guy.
First run, that first smaller run, is probably the one you forgot.
Yeah. Also, but pretty cool. But I want to remember Bam Bam as a bad guy, because that's where he was money for me. ECW. Wouldn't that what him and Taz was he the heel in that? Because
that feud, yes, he was still the heel in that.
Yeah, okay.
Because he was still triple threat. He was never not triple threat in ECW.
Triple threat is the shit.
That's the best.
Shane Douglas guy.
Yeah, but that's the best. Version of it is those two. And
you like the triad?
The Jersey Triad. I loved him with DDP and Canyon. I always thought they could have gotten more mileage out of it. I thought it was awesome, and I was a big fan of all three.
Same. But yeah, the memories that stand out the most are Bam Bam Bigelow and ECW. And I'm glad they went over that in on the episode, because that was nice to revisit. Made me want to go watch the match, watch the lead up to it too. That shit was crazy.
I wonder how much that hurt Taz to break kayfabe.
Oh, I love that they
he makes a comment. Yeah. It's like, man, I feel dirty.
So old school.
He doesn't do it. That's why it's like.
That was actually funny. I did pop for that.
Ben
you guys remember
Major Pain? That was awesome. Yeah. Seeing him pop up.
Yeah, Snake
you
Eater.
Calling 3. Me a laugh? Boom.
Snake Eater 3 with Lorenzo Lamas.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people forget that he had that early WWE run.
First Survivor Series.
Yeah. Teaming with Hulk Hogan and everything. He was kind of, unfortunately at that time, given that giant push to a newer guy. And
yeah, Andre wasn't having that.
See, that's the one thing about then. Like, it was still very protected, and outsiders and newbies. Everyone was protective of their spot. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but
and he's a big fucking guy, but that's Andre the fucking Giant. He's gonna do whatever the fuck he wants to do to you.
He doesn't want any other big guys there, even if he is the biggest.
But I would that's intimidating as fuck. Andre with his deep ass voice and his fat ass hands, still green. I don't call the shots, dude.
Bam Bam just comes up to him in the locker room and starts talking about spots he wants to do.
While he's playing his cards,
the original mass transit incident of that.
Oh man. Bam Bam just looks across at him. Why don't you go shit in a tub, you fat piece of shit?
I'll go sit in my one seat. Bucket shitter.
Oh
yeah, I felt bad for Bam Bam in that scenario, but it gets worse for him, which sucked. But very nice guy, protective father. I liked hearing that story. Todd, as a dad, I'm sure you appreciated that.
Absolutely. It's funny with Bam Bam. Like now, like because I've heard the stories, they're running it in the fire and all this stuff. But now it's like, are these stories real? It's kind of like, are they?
You know what? They're probably just exaggerated. He pulled over. They were already outside the burning building. He just made sure they got further away. They damned it up.
But I don't want to quote Cody's quote already because he says it in the doc when they believe the what was it?
Oh, that was a good line. What the fuck was it? When they believe the hype. When they stop believing the hype. I forgot.
It'll come to me because I was like that. Yeah, that's such a good line. Basically, print the when it comes to the truth or the legend, print the legend.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, print the legend.
So
very.
But yeah, I never even thought about that before till they were saying like there's in Asbury Park and like just all the story. I get it. He's a local guy and things get. Well, we all know how wrestlers are. Things get a little bit more grandiose. I'll say it like that.
Yeah, I mean, this episode goes over his bounty hunter run at 19 and rescuing that girl in Mexico, and a lot of crazy stories. I mean, you look at the guy, and number one, I 100% believe the daughter story, just slapping the shit out of that guy, because, that definitely that happened.
You mean his son when he got punched in the face?
Oh, it was a son. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't think if it was his daughter, I don't think the guy would have lived.
You're right. Yeah, it was his son. Yeah.
Also, just kind of reminding you too, like how he did know Diamond Dallas Page,
way back,
club days,
Club Xanadu, and
Quack Quack Bar.
Yeah. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall back then. I'm sure that just had to be crazy.
So I guess Canyon didn't go to that bar. He went to a different one.
Oh, Todd.
He went to hang out, not to
cruise. I don't know what Dan's talking about. I just meant because he had, I know he goes back too.
The flag in the pocket.
Whoa, Dan, don't make me have to edit you.
Damn. Flag, FLAG. All right, so
you made it worse.
You totally did.
All right, so I'm clarifying because out of context.
Don't worry, I'm probably just gonna cut it down. You digging that hole.
All right, so they talk a little bit about him going to Larry Sharp's Monster Factory, which of course is legendary. And I love some of the old like home video in some of these Dark Side of the Rings this year. 1985, him getting his head tattoos and everything. I thought that was really cool. And just like that, how small in the sense of the community wrestling was at that time, because Paul Heyman was writing up Bam Bam Bigelow in his wrestling magazine, and just such a small world, and where you're at now with some of these guys is crazy. And a lot of people do forget. They kind of look at Bigelow as a kind of 90s guy. They kind of forget that, he did have that early run, which doesn't get talked about a lot.
It was the late 80s. It wasn't super long, or at least the WWF run portion, which is, I mean, we haven't touched upon, his biggest match, arguably. I mean, at least most widely known match. That's, of course, his WrestleMania 11. Okay, yeah. I was one of the two shitty Manias. But that is the shittiest Mania. But that was a bright spot on Mania. We'll talk about another shittiest tonight, too, later.
I mean, if you look at the match with Lawrence Taylor, number one, Bam Bam Bigelow main evented that WrestleMania. They went last, and going last is the main event. That always drives me nuts when people are like, well, it was last, but it wasn't the main event. I'm like, bullshit. You go last, you're the main event.
That's the main event.
It's not a concert. These aren't encores.
You can advertise for co-main events and all this shit.
They're main event levels for sure.
But then there is
you can steal the show for sure. You can own the show, but you're not the main event if you're not.
Well, everyone thinks Hogan Rock was the main event. People forget there's a match after it. So
absolutely, and they outshined it. But yeah, shout out Jess Graham in the chat.
Ben Grimm says,
Ben Grimm, Bam Bam was my favorite character in the WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game. That game's badass.
The Acclaim one, yeah.
Yes.
Did he make it to any of the home video versions or home video? Jesus Christ!
The home one?
Any of the console versions?
Why do I remember his head being on fire when he jumped off?
Oh yeah, but I'm trying to remember because there was like every version of the game like didn't have all the people. Maybe the Sega CD one did. I don't know.
Oh.
But
yeah, the that match, I always thought it was fine. I mean, he sold his ass off for Lawrence Taylor. And, you know, hey, Lawrence Taylor was a huge star at that time. So I think, you know, it's not going to be listed as one of the great WrestleMania main events. But nonetheless, Bam Bam Bigelow is still part of a relatively small group of people who can say that they main evented.
I don't think it's relative, dude. That is a small group.
Yeah, I mean, you figure Roman's done what, 8 now?
8,
Hogan had so many. Then
Hogan had 7. So
Rock, Austin,
There
is a. It's not a giant, number. Even though there's 30 plus WrestleManias at this point, Hogan has like 8.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's not a lot of people sneak into that spot, but yeah, no. I mean, I think that was telling that they trusted him for that, especially being a larger guy. But I mean, man, what he could do in the ring was just amazing. I always regretted that we didn't get like a proper like Vader Bigelow feud where you just let them off the leash and let them, do what they wanted to do. I would have loved to have seen something in their prime, a singles match. I think that would have been absolutely amazing. But this does follow that sad thing that you see with all of these episodes. Pretty much injuries pile up, starts down the dark path with the drugs and everything, but it's a pretty positive episode. He was a really good dad, minus the driving incident, of course. And yeah, this one was sad. I was going to bring up Jason Robb had a Bam Bam Bigelow story. Did he ever tell you guys his Bam Bam Bigelow story?
I don't recall, but refresh us, please.
I want to say it was one of his first wrestling events when he was a kid. And he somehow like snuck off over to like the curtain and kind of like was peeking under it and saw Bam Bam Bigelow just kind of chatting it up, and Bigelow spots him, does a beeline, and he turns and runs right as he sees Bigelow coming to punt him in the head. That was so they definitely protected it. So Jason nearly got kicked in the face by
what was our other? He could have been that kid in what was the other Dark Side? Who kicked with Hacksaw? Who was it that kicked the guy in the face?
Oh,
Doink.
Was it Doink?
Yeah, it was Doink.
Okay. The fan that he kicked the eyeball out of his head.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he could have had one of those. That could have been Jason.
All right. Jason's running around like Snake Plissken. I tell you about the time Bam Bam Bigelow
That's a good story.
tore my eyeball out of my head. Yeah, one that the sad thing about this one, you can tell the wife still like loves him, but has some major issues with him.
I think she's still just mad that he left and like he couldn't beat it, which is addiction's a motherfucker. And depending on what you're addicted to, it's just it could spiral out of control so fucking fast. It sucks, and it happens immediately.
Eating oxys like candy is not a good thing. That's for sure.
If you can avoid it at all costs, I would recommend so. But
I remember when everyone was on fucking oxys and all that shit. Jesus,
Doctor sounded like a piece of shit.
I remember.
Oh, he's just a fan.
I wish they would have spent a little bit more time on the WCW run. That was kind of like the most limited. because like I said, I really did like the Jersey Triad run. And we're not talking that long, but say what you will about WCW, that was certainly a bright spot for me, and I thought they did some really cool stuff. But
we'll get to that era in a little bit because I'm actually a fan of that stuff.
I am too. Oh wait, are you talking? Oh yeah. We'll in the next episode for sure. But I think the next one we'll probably have even more to talk about. Any just closing thoughts on this episode and Bam Bam Bigelow?
I wish it never would have happened and he would have had a run with the title. I want to see all these athletic big men just stop being heaters and actually be a thing to be dealt with. And Bam Bam's a perfect example of can you imagine if he went on a fucking heel run and just beat the shit out of everybody? That's money. And also he's a nice guy in the back. Come on. So it's unfortunate as fuck.
Yeah. There are those Kevin Nash stories though about the cartel incident. I don't know if you heard that one, but
I know he had some issues in Mexico, but
well, why don't you tell us then?
On Kevin
Why do you
Nash,
keep making me pull out stories for people who don't know?
On Kevin Nash's podcast, he
talked
about an incident where shout out to Click This. I got to interview Sean Oliver, which was awesome. He's such a cool guy. But they were at a bar, a little bit rough, and I guess there were cartel guys there. And Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, I don't remember if anybody else was there. They were pretty cool, getting along with them until Bam Bam Bigelow.
I do remember the story now. Yeah, go ahead.
Goes up to one of them and drops a slur.
He wasn't just ordering food.
I don't think they did anything. I mean, just Bigelow got some kind of hair up his ass about something and drops it, and then Nash says all of a sudden he and Hall look like ghosts. They think they're gonna die. We come this far and now we're gonna die in this bar. Fortunately, they did not die, but that was the gist of the story. Ben Grimm does compare Bronson Reed, and I agree.
No, he's asking who is like Bam Bam now.
Bronson for sure, in terms of his style. I don't quite. If they just give a sustained push to the guy,
Also, always treat the big people like heaters. Stop.
Yeah,
Samoa Joe. He's always so close to getting in WWE. Always so close to getting the big belt, and then he just falls flat. So close, falls flat. It's annoying. They try to do it with Strowman. At least they gave him a shot and some time with the belt. But Bronson Reed, I think, can do it. His tidal wave splash is fucking cool.
Oh yeah, it's awesome, and there's so much more he can do.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he doesn't regret going back to WWE. I mean, he got a win over Okada in Japan, so
also he's a Heyman guy. Heyman likes him a lot, so fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I think he's carrying on that big man tradition. So
do it better.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so. Bash at the Beach 2000. Bro. So I'm glad they're doing episodes like this because I do feel we're going to need more sort of based around events.
Shit shows.
Yeah, shit shows. And just
Ben Grimm is correct. Jeff Cobb could be huge. He's huge now, but yeah, he should be bigger. He's too good.
Yeah, what happened to him? I don't see him anymore. Is he in a promotion that no one cares about?
New Japan and AEW and Ring of Honor. So
he's in AEW too. Okay, well,
mostly Ring of Honor, but it's for the Aussie Open. He needs to stop joining groups and just be his own man.
I think he's one of those modern guys, though, that just is content just being a traveling wrestler because he's made a lot of comments about not being interested in going to WWE so I agree, but he's also I think he's around 40.
Is he?
Yeah, he's not young.
Well, neither is LA Knight, and he's the big hot shit right now. I would take Jeff Cobb in a heartbeat.
I agree. Jeff Cobb is great, but he just may not be interested.
He may not be interested in main roster, but he would be NXT champion within a year.
I have no problems having guys that are just regulars that just stay in NXT. I think not a handful. Give them a handful of those types. Chris Hero type, maybe, that just you don't think is going to connect on the main roster, and just let them go. I agree.
Sacrifice him for Roman. Made the right choice.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Bash at the Beach 2000. So before we get into it, for those that may be unaware what happened at Bash at the Beach 2000, so obviously this is at a point when WCW was the shits. And I was a WCW guy as much as I was a WWF guy. I still stuck with it till the very end. I don't deny that last year and a half was rough.
I enjoyed the train wreck.
I love the Crash TV.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was a lot, but I'm with Todd here.
I think WWE did it better, if we're being honest.
Well, no. Okay. There's a difference between that. Yes, they're both Crash TV, but WCW was like bad Crash TV, which made it fun to watch.
At times. I mean, there were certain things like Oklahoma.
That was so bad. See? Still makes me laugh.
There was a lot of cringe and not good cringe because they also couldn't go as far, and that was the problem. Like they would get, I mean, even Nash has talked about this too. Like they would ask, like, "Oh, hey, can we do this?" And Network's like, "No." Like they were shot down. It's not that there wasn't a willingness to do like HLA necessarily, something like that in WCW. It's like they just couldn't do it. So. Yeah, Ben Grimm was a fan. He liked the New Blood stuff.
Same here. I had the shirt immediately. I'm like, I'm into this.
I wasn't, because it was just like, okay, so we're turning all of the young guys heel. It doesn't really work. Like, you know what I mean? Like it just didn't.
I wasn't overthinking this. I wasn't smart enough. Well, I was, but I wasn't. I was just a fan at that moment. I'm like, I want to see where this train wreck hits, and I like all these new guys. Not everyone in that group was cool, but anyway,
I thought Mike Sanders would go on to do more than he did. I don't know.
His size obviously prevented that, but he was a good talker.
Yeah, but Mike Awesome was part of that, and I was hoping he would talk about missed opportunity. Where's his Dark Side of the Ring episode?
I want to say he was rumored to have one at some point.
Is he? But I mean, it fits. That guy was fucking awesome. Talent wasted.
Yeah, man. Those Masato Tanaka matches.
Fucking throw it on right now. I'll be happy. Any one of them.
Those are still like the ultimate demolition derby.
Even at the one night stand, they killed it. Like, you didn't have to go that fucking hard.
I did, and I was dreading that match because I was like, there is no fucking way this is going to hold a candle to what they did in ECW. And they did. Like, I was like, wow, they put on a prop. Especially, you're coming off of WCW Mike Awesome, so it's like he's maybe not quite as
he had
awesome
something to
anymore.
prove.
That 70s guy, or the fat chick Thriller.
Yeah.
Was Mike Awesome.
I don't understand how they thought that this cool fucking dude who does not need any of that Flair bullshit, just have him go outside and kill everybody. Like that, Brock Lesnar him.
It is. They paid Mike Awesome a lot of money to go to WCW, and then it's like, let's make him the fat chick Slayer.
It was the fat chick Thriller.
Fat chick Thriller. There you go.
Come on, get it right.
Ben Grimm, Mike Awesome, WCW versus Taz, WWE for the EC title was crazy.
Oh yeah. Especially having
last minute
Taz
decision.
Pinned. Like Taz just gets pinned at the beginning, and it was just.
I thought it was when Taz won to get the belt.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the last right before Taz left.
Yeah, when he went for Dreamer. Yeah. But we're kind of off the bash.
We are.
You're doing the setup. You're doing the setup.
Stories. Yeah. So WCW at that point obviously needed a hit. They needed something to catch and fast, and it's so amazing. Bash at the Beach 2000. You go back to the NWO in '96. We're not talking that long, and just how far they declined in such a short amount of time is just insane to me. Because it's not that long, and So going into this,
corporations involved.
Going into this, and the Russo Bischoff stuff. This episode actually recaps quite a bit as far as Russo's rise to power, Bischoff being fired, then coming back, then overseeing Russo. It spends a lot of time at the beginning not really talking about Bash at the Beach directly.
Well, it's hard. How do they do that? It's basically both of them just telling the story. Zero's change. This is kind of a pointless episode if you really think about it. No new information. While
it could have swayed some people though, because I'm still on the fence.
I'm absolute on who I think it is, but we'll talk about that. Which the liar?
Yeah, we'll close because
they're both full of shit.
Yes, but here's I'll just say this now. But the one thing is, Russo will take credit for his shitty ideas.
Well, okay.
And his best friend was suing the company, Bischoff's. So even if he wanted to tell the truth at this point, he couldn't, because he's already gone on record for the Hogan lawsuit.
God. Oh, good. Okay.
That's
true. There we go. Bischoff's the fucking liar. I said that's my opinion.
It is interesting here because they kind of Dave Meltzer's on the episode too, and
your favorite.
There's a lot. I cannot listen to Meltzer, and
I would have rather had Cornette, but I understand why he wasn't on this episode.
Storm didn't need to be there either, right?
He had to be there because I think he just was like the representation of the locker room, and also like the fact that like Vince Russo. I love when he tells that story. Vince Russo wanted me to be Eric Bischoff's illegitimate son, and there's like 10 years, if that, age difference between us.
Was he there for that Bash at the Beach, though?
Yeah, I think he said he was in the locker room. Yeah.
I think he might have been in Team Canada at that point.
Yeah, he definitely would have been.
Surprised it wasn't a Russo guy, though. He's strapping him with all the fucking belts. All right.
Well, that was probably his second idea.
There's a longer debate about Russo in general, because if you watch a lot of,
I tagged him. He might.
I did too.
What's up, bro?
If you watch a lot of shoot interviews with him, or his podcast, whatever, you can see how he's a very persuasive guy. Like, I can see how he was able to rise from a guy who ran a video store. Again, 1995, I think he closed that down. I might be wrong on my years there, but
I think he owned it later than that.
Yeah, but he ended up in that short amount of time, a guy who ran a struggling video store, to a guy that's booking WWE.
Quite a few steps, but yeah.
Sure, but I'm saying, like, he rose through those ranks fast with the magazine, and the fact that even if you hate Russo, you have to at least give him credit for having the balls to essentially tell Vince the product was shit. I don't think anybody could have done that after that.
No, I disagree. I think there could be, but you got a 50-50 shot. Vince is either going to love that and respect that you did it, or he's going to fucking hate you and bury you.
I think he's gotten so big, and the company's gotten so big since then. I don't think anybody could tell him that, even if he knew. Maybe Triple H, but actually no, I don't, because look what happened to Triple H. It's like, we're just gonna fire everybody. All of your guys just gone. We'll have you scrubbing toilets. So I 100% believe that nobody could have done it after, and certainly not now. So there is a legacy there, even if you hate the guy or you don't like his booking. That alone, I think, was an important moment in wrestling. So
now for the booking, I'm going to state this very clearly. Vince Russo did his best booking at WWE, but he also had all of his ideas going through a filter.
Yeah.
We've all seen him filterless in WCW. While it was fun to watch, it's not really a good wrestling product.
Yeah. And I think that gets old after a while. Like, we remember that era of Jerry Springer and everything. I feel like now, for a modern audience, I don't know. I don't think you could do it. You'd have to go much further. then there's the political correctness problem. It's just that style wouldn't sustain you for long. I do think there's 3 hours of Raw. Could you take an hour and maybe make it a little bit more like a Shotgun Saturday Night kind of feel? Maybe you could probably make a case for that, but
I don't want a war zone.
And something a little more, obviously a separate location.
Well, yeah, you just like picked a B show, so it's like, let's make it a little more like Velocity in that last hour. Because Yanada went with Warzone. Come on, give us something that we could understand.
The whole theme song for the video game.
But yeah, I mean, they do talk a lot about the Crash TV philosophy that took over WCW.
Raw after dark, as long as it's not back to underground.
There you go.
hey, no, we don't want him still into the guy after dark.
They do talk Bischoff when he got let go in '99, the slashed budgets, Russo not getting a raise, and
that's bullshit.
What for SmackDown and that infamous conversation with Vince? It's like, you make enough to hire an Annie. Which does sound like a Vince thing to say.
It does. I'm with Russo on that. Like, dude, and I'm doing 2 shows. My plate's got even fuller.
Yeah.
You can afford it. We can afford it. I'm making you all this fucking money. We are now an actual global fucking product.
But you know what? Vince was right.
Vince McMahon's just like, my kids turned out fine. It's like
it turned out fine, but it wasn't as fucking fun for a while.
I didn't like the poster. It took a minute. You could tell it was different.
Mm-hmm.
It was like wrong sounding Muppets. It bothered me.
Yeah, and it is a funny time though in general. Jeff Jarrett, who's in this episode, and he talks just how polar opposite Russo and Bischoff were, personality wise, booking wise. Like, they were just so different. They go over some of that. I will say there have been ideas attributed to Russo over the years, particularly in TNA, where he was getting blamed for it, and it may have been like a Dutch Mantel thing or somebody else. Anything bad tends to stick to him.
He can be a lightning rod for all the bad shit wherever he goes. So.
Yeah, but
that's a good reason to keep him on your writing team. That's just like, no, he can stay.
They do run down the ideas. Now, this is where this episode kind of becomes a little bit of a clusterfuck, much like the event, because they're trying to explain where they were going with it. But first off, before we get into that, what were you thinking when you were watching it? Because I remember watching this pay-per-view, and I've heard some people defend it. They're like, oh, look at the intrigue. I just felt like I got cheated. I got cheated out of a proper main event. It didn't feel like it made any sense. Any way that they were talking about trying to make sense out of it. I don't need... I'm not a big fan of that. Just like, oh yeah, this is all like bullshit, and we're just gonna tell you, like, come out and tell you. It didn't work. It was just kind of awkward.
I don't think the way the plan goes was never part of the plan. Was him to come out and do all that.
But
no. See, that's the
Russo thing.
Yeah, I think that was, like, my opinion. He did that on his own because I think that's what drove Hogan over the line and made him sue him, because he said the B word. and he shot, and if that's what they agreed on, Hogan's right too, because he had that creative control and that's his character. So, but I do think that's the issue. That was the issue that made everything fall to shit. Was that promo?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I think.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever going to make... There was no good idea here, in my opinion.
Well, yeah,
I don't understand why Hogan had to be involved anyway. I know Russo said he wanted to give him Jeff Jarrett one more win before he switched the belt to Booker T, but if Hogan's not willing to do that, just X amount of the equation, but Bischoff oversaw what he did.
But he had control of his. So if Hogan wanted to do it, they were still kind of stuck because he had creative control over his character. And I guess if his character wanted to be in that, how do you argue that creative control clause?
You can't.
It does feel
which is
like
where Hogan and Bischoff have the higher ground on here. But I don't like Hogan, so fuck him. I don't really like Bischoff either. But
I mean,
I figured you would after that tape came out.
I go like broken clocks right twice a day.
Hogan definitely was an issue for them at this point, and yeah, creative control contracts don't work for sure.
But we got Booker T as champion out of it. That was cool.
There were ways around this though too, like his creative control. Book a triple threat or something.
But no, because the creative control.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to lose. Like,
he can say no because his creative control.
Sure, but I don't know.
There's no way they can book around him if he wants to be part of that. They can't just be like, okay, we're going to do a 3-way. No, brother, we're not doing it. They can't. That's creative control. There's no working it around out of your, like, it's not getting a guy who no shows or doesn't want to do business, and you just kind of book around it and make it work. This is the guy who you have to, whatever he wants to do, that's what you got to do.
He was a money printer at one time, so I understand why they did it, but fuck, dude, that's I don't like Hogan.
Neither does Jeff Jarrett. He kind of went hard there. He's like, yeah, I never looked at Hogan the same way again. I don't know that they would have. Well, shit, yeah. I mean, they would have had some other
TNA, right?
So, yeah, I'd be kind of curious. What?
But at that point, wasn't Jarrett just a body?
Wasn't he Hogan? No, I thought you were going to sack when they were both in TNA.
Well, no, but I mean, by the time Hogan came there, I mean, wasn't Jarrett just there? He wasn't. It was already Dixie's era, and it wasn't his company anymore at that point.
I don't remember. I don't remember the timeline.
I can't remember the exact time.
And I don't know how much power he had at that point. He could have just been a talent.
Yeah.
And had no say in the matter. Because honestly, yeah, it was Dixie's company at that point.
Yeah. And I mean, I think Jarrett comes off pretty well. I mean, I do believe he's kind of embarrassed by the whole thing. Jarrett's a guy in general because he got his big break when WCW was falling apart. So I feel like a lot of people, he's kind of like Baron Corbin, I think, is kind of a modern equivalent where he was heavily featured at a time when the product was really bad. Constable Corbin, I think he did a good job with that, but he was just heavily featured, but the product sucked so much that the suck stuck to him. And that's how I've always felt about Jarrett. I do think he is a talented guy that I like. And shout out Big T. And I don't know. I liked him in this episode. I think he's a likable guy. And yeah, I don't think there's anything new though, really, in the episode.
That was my biggest thing. I was like, I'm glad they're going to start doing stories, but the problem with this one, it's like two people.
Yeah,
that's it. It's one is lying, one's not, or one's a little in the middle. But I mean, that's the problem. Like, you don't have really, other than like Jarrett's little bit of input. Yeah, and I agree. Ben brought up Jarrett's still good. He's pretty good. He can still go. He's good in AEW. I think I kind of disagree with you on the Baron Corbin comparison. I'd say Dolph Ziggler, I could agree with that because there's upward mobility, even if he's never got there. But Baron Corbin, yeah, he's treated by everyone as a joke. And I don't think people treat Jarrett like a joke. I don't think Baron Corbin in 20 years will like get that Jarrett, like, okay, that's a superstar. I can see that happening with Dolph Ziggler, but not with fucking Baron Corbin.
Really? That sucks.
Yeah.
He's repackaged right now in NXT. He's working some shit out. So
good. Hopefully that changes. But as of now, that's surely what I believe. And
Big T.
Okay. I was going to say, I see your question, but I'm going to see if we have anything else before we go to that. But like anything else on this episode, really? I mean,
not really. I just didn't get give me something that I haven't heard before.
I'm going to defend the episode because we may know a little more about this going into it than an average viewer.
Right.
because my mom saw this and she didn't know anything about this crap, and she found it fascinating. So if you already know the stuff going in, yeah, you're not gonna get much. But if you don't know anything at all, or if you know some little bit of information, this could flesh some shit out and make you pick a side. So I do think it's worth watching.
Yeah, sure. I'm not saying it's not. It like Russo's product of the era. It's still entertaining to me. Even if it did, it was like it's going in circles. Like we're not getting an answer. But I didn't expect an answer. But I mean, it's hard. I mean, when you only have two sides, because even Jared wasn't really like giving. I mean, you couldn't use his testimony to figure out what's what. But.
You needed Judy Bagwell on a poll to send it all.
There we go. You can read it now, Pugs.
Big T question: if Bischoff had purchased the company, would WCW be around today, or would it have suffered the same doom?
I don't see TNT not getting rid of it eventually. Anyway,
I think it'd be on the same level as TNA, where it'd be around. It just wouldn't be huge anymore.
I don't think it'd be that low. I think it'd be somewhere between what it was and no, yeah.
So it's like that low.
I don't know. I think it might have still failed only because at that point the name had declined so much. I mean, they would have had the tape library still, but it had to go away. Like I just think at that point it had to go away. Now, if he took it away for a year or two, you build up because we all missed it. Like, I really missed it, even as bad as it was at the end.
I was actually fine. Like not to. I was younger, so people losing their jobs, that part really didn't weigh in on me. But I was glad it was gone. I was like, "Fuck them! I'm a WWE guy."
Then you saw the product, and then you saw the product when there's just one. Maybe I was wrong. I should rethink that. But you know what? I disagree because you lose any of that momentum, and you're starting over from scratch. As someone who's gone and then stopped and then started over, you're starting from scratch. It's pointless. Use the momentum, even if it's not great, to kind of get it to switch. Like Impact never went away. They had just as bad of shit on their name.
Well, they rebooted, but yeah.
They did, but they didn't go away.
Yeah.
So that's what the Bischoff era would have been. It would have been a restart.
There was definitely value in the name. I mean, that's the crazy thing. It was $2.5 million to buy WCW and then 1.5 for the tape library. Like, that's insane. Like, to think that they got it for that.
We could have kickstarted that.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you're looking at that figure and it's like, shit, you could have possibly have raised the money. You could have had WCW run by Flesh Wound Features.
We're restaffing. Some of these fuckers got to go.
You could have had the.
I'm out.
But we should just do some commentary on some end of WCW, like last couple of years, just some of the worst stuff, and do some commentary.
It's some of my favorite shit they've ever done. So I'm in.
That might make it fun.
Some Kiwi matches.
Ben Grimm. Yeah. If TNA is still around, WCW would still be around. I agree. Ben Grimm, that's why I don't understand why people seem to want AEW to fail so bad. Having other options builds the industry.
Yeah, the more people running, the better.
I don't know about that much.
Well, having places to work is a good thing.
Yeah, I'm agreeing.
There's a lot of great talent out there that you guys haven't heard of. Even like people that follow the indies, there's gems out there that you haven't heard of. So I have a lot of issues with AEW right now. Look, I mean,
do you want it to fail?
No, of course not.
Okay,
that's my point. Even if I never watched it, like I'll be honest, I don't really get time to watch NWA now. I don't want it to fail though, just because I don't watch it. That's ridiculous.
See, Ben knows who the champ should be.
Oh, Ben, not Kruger is WCW champion. He's not going to be happy about that.
They're going to have a good feud.
Right?
I was going to say, yeah, Hell in a Cell.
No, we got
done by Flesh.
Don't start, Bugs. You're going to start giving shit better names.
Yeah, well, I didn't say we'd name it that. I'm trying to think how Flesh Wound would
put him in a big. Never mind.
Last House on the Left, street fights.
I know. I still want to do a Last House on the Left death match, but I haven't figured out the way to do it. I don't want you booking it on air, Dan. And I don't want any of your input. This is mine, not yours. You can come up with your own.
Can I give one on air? You gotta beat the piss out of them.
I think that's a piss your pass. That match. Piss your pass.
There's the gimmick. You just have to beat your opponent to where they piss.
No, but that's not the death match. That's no.
Yeah, that's just how you win.
Shut up, Dan. I don't want your input. This is my baby.
Fuck you, Todd. No pinfalls, no submissions. Loser must piss their pants.
I got it. Winner has to piss on Dan. Then there you go.
They'd have to take me out first, Todd.
I'm pretty sure they could both just look at you and make you piss your pants.
Yeah, Schlack probably could if Schlack is but yeah.
You hear that, Schlack? He's talking shit. Come get him.
Oh, shit. I acknowledged how scary the dude is. How's that?
Well, now he's talking shit because he knows he doesn't have to see him in a couple weeks.
Yes, that is a bummer.
No butthole punch for Dan.
Yet.
That's not going to happen ever. But
you got December, you got October, December, January if you want to come back.
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I wish AEW would do certain things better because they could get to that point that, let's be honest, that Impact is at where they're not really a competitor anymore. That window could close for them if they're not careful, and they could slip into a WCW-like situation. So,
I don't know if they would do that. They have too much money backing them. Like that dude's just a trust fund baby, so I really don't see that happening. I think he can run
Dixie Carter's family had more money than
they
Tony
didn't know.
Khan.
They were middle class compared to the
and I was gonna be misogynistic as well.
Panda Energy, I believe, had more money than the Khans. They just didn't spend that much on
well, she had smarter parents.
Yeah, and that could at some point.
And she didn't have a bad habit of some nose candy, allegedly.
Yeah, well, you know what? If he cuts that budget out, maybe he'll
add another fucking show.
But since we're talking about the second-rate promotion, segue
to SummerSlam.
Well, that's not.
I don't know. There were a few other
Cody documentary because Paul Levesque, Triple H took a shot. He knows what he's doing. I love that.
At AEW, with the second-rate company.
Yes,
and he didn't directly say AEW. It could have been general, but we all know.
And I want to clarify. Yes, I know the Khans are rich, but I believe Panda Energy even more so.
I'm looking at Panda Energy's net worth now.
At that time, I believe Panda Energy was worth a ton. But again, I'm not saying they had access to that. It's just technically, yeah, they were. Panda Energy had more money than Vince McMahon. So, that doesn't always matter. But American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes documentary.
Panda Energy, this is from 2016, Dan. Net worth of $5 billion.
Okay.
What is the Daddy Khan's name?
I mean, that is post. That is post when Dixie was in charge, I believe.
2016.
When did Dixie leave?
It doesn't matter. It's close enough for the network at the time. Khan's. What's Tony? What's the dad's name?
Not sure.
Khan net worth. We'll just try Khan net worth.
Yeah, now I don't know if they're adding their worth together.
His net worth is $12 billion.
Oh, okay.
Right now.
There you go.
So, as we said earlier, Dan.
All right, fair enough.
Dixie didn't own a fucking NFL team.
Yeah.
She didn't.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Dan can't even take a slap from Hillbilly.
I never agreed to.
Pussy.
I'll tell you what. One of you gets slapped first,
but we're not the one who was talking all the shit.
I wasn't talking any shit. I have no doubt he would win the slap fight. There you go. He's a
Big T.
professional flat fighter.
I understand everybody wants AEW to be competition to WWE. What's wrong with just being an alternative and doing their own thing?
Alternative's the key word. That's all anybody.
There's only one alternative, and that's XPW.
XPW is the number one for sure. But all right, American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes doc. Good doc, very emotional. He doesn't really dish any dirt though, which I know.
Did you expect him to?
Yeah.
I thought maybe he'd give us a little something. I mean, he only addressed it. He says it had nothing to do with the talent, and it had nothing to do with pay. That's all he gave us as far as him leaving AEW. I think the answer is fairly obvious. I don't know if there's like one specific incident where in his head he was like, okay, this is done. I'm going to WWE. But I think it was just in general how it's run. Which I don't know if you guys saw that recent story with Lufisto talking about her experiences backstage.
I trust the other workers on this one. I trust the other workers on this one. I think she might be a little miserable and angry.
You're taking Ruby Soho's side? I'm shocked.
I'm taking MJF's side. But yeah.
Well, I'm not, because I'll tell you right now, that motherfucker lost me 1,000% with that stupid fucking promo on Wednesday. I was ready with my chant and I was like, this guy lost me 1,000%.
I didn't see the promo.
Give a shit about you anymore.
What did he do?
That is the exact opposite reaction of everybody else in the world. He got picked on and by like anti-Semitic stuff, which honestly, if he would have been at XPW, we would have chanted exactly what they said.
Yeah, like he set it up. Like I said, Ozzy, when you watch the promo, you'll know exactly what we would have chanted. I actually said 2015 Todd, but or Front Row Mafia.
So he said
he sent it right back. After he watched it, like I just randomly get the chant texted. It's like that's it. You know, it's like he like sets it up. Like
he was hazed by fans. He's talking about.
No.
You don't want to talk about this on here because then we'll have.
I'll say it if you want. I don't care.
No. Because Todd's.
It wasn't really like the hard K.
No.
He talks about Temple a little too much. It's a little too much religion in a promo for me. We'll just go with that.
But it was a promo to do with his past, or
I don't fucking know. That's the problem. It's like crossing lines.
No, what I think is happening is that he's doing it again because everyone thinks that Cole's gonna betray him since he did that backstab bullshit. I do think he's gonna I tricked you guys again. You're all fucking stupid. The devil always makes you believe he doesn't exist. I think that's where they're going with it.
I'll have to watch it after the show. It almost sounds like Cody Rhodes is ending racism. That thing he did. You don't remember that one where he cut that promo?
I probably stopped watching.
You may not have been watching at that point, but I forget the wrestler's name that he was working with, who's done nothing in AEW. But
roster.
Yeah, he cut like this really awkward promo about ending racism, and it was just it was one of those shitty moments in AEW where it's like,
well, don't you know it's always going to be a white man who comes and ends racism for us.
I think that was one thing that they were just like.
Although to be fair, Cody's pretty black.
He gets the pass.
So I don't know that one.
Daddy had Sapphire. He's got Brandy. We're talking.
I think he did a little better.
If Dusty called you on the phone,
look at these eyes. Yeah. All you can. Anyway, Cody is half Cuban and married to a black woman. Ben Grimm says.
There you go.
Big T, this is the second time that he's used this bully aspect in a promo.
Yeah, and I know it's just good. That probably helped you be a better man.
Wouldn't that be perfect moment to bring in Bully Ray?
I was just
like old school Bully Ray to just break MJF.
All right, if it's old school, I'm in.
Well,
you turn MJF like full baby face, and you just bring in like Bully Ray to bring back his asshole nature. It could be like Brian Knobbs and Fit Finley in WCW where they did the whole training thing. Bully Ray's taking MJF out, and he's like, "Okay, go shove that kid off his skateboard." Like, it's just like,
remember what those kids did to you? Go do it to them.
we're gonna take some whiskey into this AA meeting.
they pan out. St. Jude's.
Oh my God! Now that would get people watching. Bully Ray helping MJF rediscover his inner asshole. That would be.
That's a weird phrasing, but yeah.
I never wanted a Forbidden Door match more than after watching that promo.
I'm shocked it got you that irritated, Todd.
I don't know.
It worked for me.
Maybe it was the drugs. I was just like so annoyed. Because wait, is that when I was like, okay, it's the 2000th, I'll watch it or whatever the fuck it was.
200.
And I had watched the Cody documentary and I was like, I really like this. I'm gonna watch Raw, and I watched Raw. Go figure. And then the next day I watched that AEW nonsense.
Yeah, but you also had a cool comeback, which was pretty rad.
Were you triggered when God feuded with Vince McMahon too?
I think he had a clear pick. I think he had a clear side he was on.
Yeah, I mean, I was, of course, obviously Team McMahon.
I kept doing the.
He's the only man who has a victory over God. Come on.
I kept quoting Airheads and switching Lemmy with Vince McMahon. Like false. McMahon is God.
But anyway,
so Schlack's got to change it to no McMahon, only Schlack.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor if you're looking up shitty wrestling stuff. Look up the Cody ends racism promo. It's pretty.
I believe he can do it now that I know he's also half Cuban.
There you go. So this is a fun little doc. I like them just talking about Vince and Bruce Pritchard actually flying to Cody's house to get him back, which that is impressive. I don't know that that's ever happened. Certainly not in modern wrestling. And I also like the home video footage at Christmas Eve, 1999. Dusty, just
watching a Christmas Story.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. It's always kind of cool to see. Those moments. And this kind of runs down basically just Cody's career. I mean, I'm not going to run over the whole doc. I do think it's worth watching. It was nice watching it right before the Brock match at SummerSlam, which we'll talk about SummerSlam at the end for a little bit. But this was a good sort of rundown of his career and a really ballsy move, because say what you will about Stardust. Stardust was featured on TV. It was never
Stardust.
I did too.
He killed it. I'm like, he made that, and they put it over in the doc. He put everything into that character, and it came through. I mean, even if he hated it, he did that shit well.
He did, but it was never going to take him to a world title.
No, it was a mid card. It's just like his brother. It was a mid card spot,
which I find fucking bullshit. Goldust World Champion run would have been fucking amazing for me.
Well, maybe now in 2023 they could let it happen, but Razor wasn't having any.
But bring that shit back. Bring that shit. He never had the belt either, which is bullshit. But
I'd be kind of curious what they would do with the Goldust character now. If they really, there's different angles they could go with it.
Ben Grimm, I love the Stardust stuff with Green Arrow. Stephen Amell, heels back on air right now.
And you know what? He narrated the doc, which was cool.
Yeah.
I have to say, overall presentation, this is probably one of the best pieces they put together.
I'm sad I missed him at WrestleMania. I wish I would have looked for him.
And just the way it was put together, and our segues when we're doing each character, I thought it was put together great, and it flowed really nice. I know, yes, some of it is homogenized through WWE's funnel, but I mean that's always how it's going to be. But I'm just talking overall, the way it was put together, looked great, came off great. It was a great documentary.
Couldn't even tell Ricky Starks was at the Royal Rumble. So I was like, they edited around him pretty well.
I think it's pretty wild right now how 2023 and 2024 still to come, of course, but was going to just have a ton of jumps back and forth to WWE and AEW, and it doesn't look like it's any of that's happening. I know the Elite just re-signed, which
Big T says This documentary was originally going to be a part of a 3-disc physical media set in the United States, but WWE has officially ended its physical media run.
That, you know what? I heard that a while ago, but they're still putting those pay-per-views on DVD at Walmart. In fact, I think Night of Champions, last time I was there, I saw. So I don't know what's going on with that. I had heard like a couple years ago that they were getting ready to just finally call it, but they haven't.
I know they didn't because they got that new distribution deal forever ago. But yeah. I don't know now. But there's a difference between releasing an event and putting together a 3-disc pack. There's a little bit more work.
That's
than just slapping a disc on for Walmart.
Yeah,
I know they don't do Blu-rays anymore, but yeah, that's unfortunate. I liked their documentaries when they threw them out on the disc. The WrestleMania one for that first one, while definitely through a WWE lens, was still really good.
They've always put together really nice docs. I mean, there's a lot of great.
I know Hard Knocks is one of your favorite. The Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior one still blows my mind. How it's just like literally everybody thought he was a piece of shit. It gets all rosy all of a sudden, although not Ted DiBiase. Ted DiBiase, I think, is just like, I'm just not going to talk about it anymore. But this was really good. I mean, it makes me invested right now in his hero's journey. And I mean, right now, I don't see anybody leapfrogging him. WrestleMania certainly has to be Cody. It has to be Cody, and it has to be Cody dethroning Reigns.
I did see online that since it's going to be in Philly, that they I don't know if it's fantasy booking or if it was like a leak or whatever, but the reason Brock might have did the showmanship after, because he never does that, he might be the Mick to Cody's Rocky and like help Cody train to beat Roman. Like that would be kind of cool.
I think they're paying Brock a little bit too much to I don't see like Cody running and Brock like yelling at him.
I can. You don't see vignettes of that? Him at his ranch, Sable in the background.
Yeah, if they're doing it, it's going to be at his house.
Yeah, it's just like he's like running along, like pulling Brock on like some fucking like thing, and he's like,
"You telling me you can't see that?"
He's locking up Sable.
Brock just blows like some moose's head off.
he's locking up Sable Macho Man style just in case.
Don't look at it.
Cody's just jogging with like Brock's kills on his shoulder. He's got like a dead moose, and he's just like,
he's like, finally colors on me again. Yeah. Color. Do you think they should let him get color when he gets that title finally?
Yeah, I think they should. I don't think they will, but I think they might. An accident may happen though.
I could see Vince being like, God. That was his daddy's thing. I mean, well, it was Cody's thing too. Unless he can make himself bleed on the inside again.
We need to see Cody covered in blood, and we'll get into SummerSlam.
Roman will have no part of that, so maybe not.
Yeah, we'll get into SummerSlam. I mean, because that's part of the problem. It's like I don't believe Roman's in danger at all, like in anything he does right now. So it's kind of like, just kind of waiting. But
he just said that The Rock recently did an interview with Kevin Hart, and Rock unofficially announced that he's going to be in WrestleMania in Philadelphia.
Well, he ain't got no movies to make.
He's kind of done that though
every year.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of like hinted at it. Number one, even if they do now, I think you have to have Roman Cody. They could do something where he sets it up for next year, possibly.
Well, that could be the thing he's doing. He could do something after, like that. He lost the head of the table, like because he lost to Cody, and then you have the Rock.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rock right now would be.
But these guys are also getting bored with that acting gigs.
Yeah,
we're gonna see Rock versus Cena now.
When's the next Blood Money in the Bank? He'll show up.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, this was a good doc. I mean, they kind of go over Dusty's kids. I mean, which I'm sure that did legitimately bother him in some ways. You know, Dusty, his impact just in his time, I mean, what, 7 years, whatever it was in NXT was huge. Like,
we're watching all of his people. All of his kids are at the top.
Yeah, I mean, he just fostered the next generation, which, like, wow. I mean, his impact in general, I mean, Mount Rushmore of wrestling, you got to consider Dusty up there because it just huge and huge over so many years. So sad, Doc, when they go over, you know, Dusty's passing and everything, but it makes you like Cody even more. I mean, I will pop huge when he does, hopefully, fingers crossed, get the title. I think that will be a big moment. And honestly, you can make a strong case now for how it might have been a little too soon to do it at last WrestleMania.
Yeah. So, I was saying this since the beginning. Second chance.
Cody.
You take a risk, though, on momentum.
They botched the finish of the Doc. They had a perfect one.
Well, that's when we get part 2, the American Nightmare. Dream on.
that cell match, like, one of the coolest things WWE's done in a long time, unintentional, obviously, but like, he had to be in hell.
Oh, when he finally admitted, I was lying through my teeth. That was fucking hilarious.
I mean,
yeah, you couldn't do it any more damage, but it hurt.
I would be like, probably
know
his
crying
mom too.
We would all be crying like a bitch. Just
I ain't doing that shit.
Chair.
I got a high pain tolerance.
Sitting in a chair, let alone doing what he did in that match.
I want to see Dan get a tattoo so bad. There we go, Dan. I'll leave you alone if you get our logo instead of a t-shirt.
We'll make that happen. We can make that happen. But let's talk briefly about SummerSlam.
Let's get it over with. I fell asleep twice. There's actually videotape proof.
So you missed a little bit, but that's okay.
I thought it was too long, but I did enjoy it. But I also had a bunch of people over, a bunch of friends over I haven't seen in a while. So I think that factored in. There were some blemishes, and I didn't care for. But overall, I thought it was fine. Cut that shit down by an hour, though.
Well, it wasn't that long for past SummerSlams, though.
But it's been longer than what we've had recently, because usually they were 3 hours. This was like, what, four and some change?
3 would have been
might have been around. Yeah. That's why they cut matches.
What was the match before the women?
I'm trying to remember.
Before the women, Seth and Finn Balor.
Yeah, that was putting me to sleep.
Oh, okay.
Well, I thought they had a good match,
and the women did too.
I think the women's triple threat was, I think, definitely match of the night.
I think Drew and Gunther was match of the night for me.
Yeah, I take that back.
Ben Grimm, I like the Logan Paul Ricochet match. Yeah,
so that
was fun.
I asked Ozzy. I was like, "So is Ricochet like finally over, or is he still just like Ricochet?"
I think the Logan Paul thing has helped him. People were bitching, "Oh, you had to lose to Logan Paul." I'm like, Logan Paul can't lose every match, and he's lost, so he needed that win.
But I'm saying
they protected him with the knuckles.
Yeah.
But I mean more of like, has he had any upward mobility? Are people just excited for this match because they know he's going to flip around for Logan Paul?
I think that he has, actually. I think his promos have been a little bit better. I don't see them putting a world title on the guy, but yeah, I'd say he's bigger because of this Logan Paul stuff, 100%.
Yet I didn't fall asleep at all during the catch combat. They learned nothing.
The MMA?
Those matches do not work. I don't know why people still book that stuff.
Here's the thing.
If it's not a shoot, what's the fucking point?
The rule was just no pinfall. They just make it sound cool.
MMA rules.
Yeah, and then when the referee explained it on camera, I'm pretty sure people weren't paying attention, so they didn't understand. Like, oh, it's just a no pinfall, it's tap or knockout, which is fine.
They were laying it in. It's not that they fucked up or anything.
Oh no, there was that one shot to the face.
The knee.
Yeah.
They had a couple stiff shots, but that doesn't play as well for a live audience.
I
tell they didn't give a shit.
Oh no, they were fucking quiet as shit. Now I don't think you can't do it. I just think that's not the audience you can do it for. I think they would have ate this shit up on fucking Impact.
I think it should have been
not
the fight
Impact.
pit.
I'm sorry, AEW.
Oh, I think it would have been the fight pit. It needed a cage. It needed a little more build up than just this. But
the return of Raw Underground.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I'm not going to defend it, but I'm glad Shayna won because I fucking like her and I hope they treat her like a monster again.
I'm glad too. I just don't think it does as much as it could have at one time. I think her, tapping out Ronda could have been a big deal. The problem is, ideally, they would have been a monster tag team and held those belts for a good run.
They were supposed to, but remember,
everything.
One of them got hurt.
Ronda, yeah, everything got sped up, and it is what it is. I think if they had like a real run to where they really seemed like they had those tag titles on a lock, then they lose it to a real team like Caden Carter and Katana Chance.
Oh my god, did you see her botch the other, what was it, Money in the Bank or on a Raw where she fucking slipped on one of the ropes and looked like a fish out of water?
I like them. They feel like a real team, and that's, although at this point women's tag titles are meaningless.
Whatever, dude. Chelsea Green and Shayna. No, Shayna.
The other lesbian, Sonya Deville.
You got Deville,
mixed up.
My bad.
Yeah, I mean, again, that can be a good team, but like they've made the tag titles irrelevant, so they'll have to build them up.
Hopefully, they're the ones to build it back up.
Most of the titles are relevant.
And all the titles are ugly. I don't like any of the fucking titles.
I'm going to push back on that.
You can push back all you want. This is an opinion. I think they'll.
Intercontinental title means a lot right now.
No. Visually, I think they look like shit.
Oh, visual, yeah.
Well, no, I do think they mean nothing minus IC and the Roman
Universal.
Yeah. Now that was one issue,
but out of like 12 titles, that's 2.
Yeah, suspense was an issue on this show because, like you said, Gunther is 1 month, I believe, exactly from today from breaking Honky Tonk Man's record.
Break that shit. Break it.
You kind of knew where that match was going. It's great because Gunther might be the best thing in WWE right now, in my opinion. He's slayed everything.
Him and Cody are gonna tear it down at a SummerSlam. Watch.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that will be a great fucking run. Ben Grimm mentions LA Knight will bring prestige to the titles. LA Knight, even though you hate him, Austin Theory right now is not working. Grayson Waller.
I thought it was hilarious that someone asked the question because when he showed up in the Battle Royale, I'm like, why the fuck is Austin Theory a champion in a Battle Royale right now?
Yeah.
And then someone asked it at the press conference. I'm like, thank you. And then Triple H came up with some bullshit. I'm like, no, dude, you just needed a body. Don't be fucking lying to me.
Yeah. It honestly, just have LA Knight get that off of him. That's
definitely going to happen.
Spot,
what's the next show? The next pay-per-view, PLE.
Payback. I'll be down there for that. We'll get to watch Payback together.
I have to watch a B show. Hopefully, it's not on a Saturday.
They're all on a Saturday now.
No, I thought summer's still Sunday.
I think they're all Saturday except for WrestleMania, which is 2 days. NXT happens on Sundays now.
Yeah. I mean,
no guarantees.
This did not feel as a whole like a number 2 pay-per-view because honestly,
like
the main event,
number 3,
Roman and Jay, like it was an okay match. Don't get me wrong, but there was no suspense. Like, and I don't think it really made a whole lot of sense, the turn there.
Yeah, that's the part I don't agree with. I'm like, this is a little weird. I mean, sure.
Just, like random, like, okay, we need to do something.
Well, he did say, like, before he kicked Roman in the face, like, no, you're out. And he brought up all the list of bullshit. And then when Paul and Roman are like, well, when he got hurt, the first thing you did was ask for a title shot. So, like, that, it can make sense. I just don't like what they chose.
Yeah, I mean, they'll make sense of it, I suppose. But I think it's gone on too long now.
I don't agree with that.
Roman is not dropping that belt until at least WrestleMania. They need a fresh opponent right now to feed him. At the very least, whoever that is has no chance of getting the belt, but they need somebody new to come in now. Honestly, if you're doing nothing else, let Roman beat LA Knight. Give him a program. I mean, obviously, again, he's going to lose that one, but he's hot enough right now that people will respond to it. So I don't know, somebody like him, just somebody.
He did botch the shit out of a move on Friday though, and then they repeated it at the PLE, the jump to the top rope from the ground. They fucked that up majorly on Friday, but I was glad to see that they corrected themselves. Big T, LA Knight is this generation Zack Ryder fans are beyond. Hold on. LA Knight is this generation Zack Ryder. Fans are behind
him.
Fans are behind him. They believe him. Give him the ball and see how far he can run with it.
I think they need to just do exactly what they did with Zack Ryder. Just never let him get it.
Somebody gets over, and everybody's got all these reasons why he shouldn't be pushed. Oh, he's just copying The Rock. Who the fuck cares? He's over.
So they say, like, oh, he's just The Rock and Stone Cold. I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
And it works.
That's not my beef. No, he sounds like he does a shitty wrestler promo. Sounds like a wrestler doing a promo. I hate that.
See, I like that. I don't get it all the time.
Even if you don't like it, you can't deny it's working.
He's never denied it.
I never said it was or wasn't. I just don't give a shit.
It's not working for him.
You'd really not push him though, right
no,
now.
I wouldn't even book him.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, let's wrap.
All right, guys. So before we wrap, we will, of course, I don't know. We're recording a lot of shows, so I'm jumbled right now.
Nothing else is live today, Dan.
Nothing else live today, but patreon.com/fleshwoundfeatures /Tober is upon us. It's coming up soon. We will have an announcement of the /Tober lineup coming up soon on Patreon. So check that out. And uncut interview with Soul Taker also up on Patreon right now. You can also listen to the more than slightly edited version right now on YouTube. And I think that's all we got for you for tonight, guys. Thanks for watching, and we will see you here next time.
Mr. Todd?
What a man, what a man, what a mighty good man.
All lives matter. I'll see you in Disneyland.